Labor is also composed of an overtime factor, and what we want to do is we want to look today is how to set up overtime in HeavyBid. And when you set up labor, the actual rate is the base rate. There's no overtime reflected in this rate because it's handled in another area. Because we can have multiple calendars in an estimate, so this operator, for example, could be working sometimes in overtime situations, sometimes in a straight time. So we want to have a way to handle multiple calendars. So I'm going to go down here to set up overtime. And first we're going to look at the setup rules. Now here I have a standard overtime rule where I'm working time and a half. The overtime is time and a half over 8 hours. And then I can also have multiple, we can split up the day into 3 divisions where I would have maybe at a double time rate over 12 hours. So this way you can pretty much mirror what the labor crafts are being paid per payroll. And then on Saturday I have time and a half over 0 hours and then time and a half over Sunday. We also have a shift differential and a bonus hour in our comprehensive version. Now we're going to go into the actual salaried person where they would have a different type of work rule where we check off that they're salaried, put how many hours that they're working. So this would be in the case of a salaried foreman who is working in a crew, being paid hourly, and you still want them to collect, be in a crew, but you also don't want them to be paid overtime. So we'll look at that. Now, in order to use that overtime rule, I have to have a calendar. So now I'm going to go in to set up the calendar here, and this example would be a 5 10-hour calendar, 10 hours per day. So I have, here it is Monday through Friday, 10 hours for production. And my premium rate is 110%. And what that means is if you do the calculation converting everything to straight time hours, you end up with 55 straight time hours divided by 50 hours, or every hour to be multiplied by a factor of 1.1. And remember, this is an estimate. So you're not going to know if that man in an estimate is going to be out there on Tuesday getting straight time, and then he doesn't get overtime till Thursday afternoon. We just treat every hour that he's worked. He's going to work a 50-hour work week, and that every hour is going to have a overtime factor of 1.1. So that's very important to understand how HeavyBid uses these calendars in the estimate. So let's go out and look at this, how these calendars interface in the estimate. So I'm going to go down here to an activity that has labor, and you notice that I have a 5 10-hour work week here, and my overtime factor is right here at 1.1. And we can get more detail of that by right-clicking and showing calculation, and there is my premium time. All it does is just takes the total base pay times 1.1, and I get $187. Now for the foreman, that's a little different, because if I right click and show the calculation, it will actually have a factor of 80%, because he's going to be working the 2 additional hours that he doesn't get paid for, but you still want to have that reflected in the man-hour reports. So what it does, it just backs out his pay for the extra 2 hours. There's no premium involved, so it just takes 80% times the rate, comes up with $100, and then gives it a net subtotal here that would back out his overtime hours. So now in any of the reports, we can go in and get how many premium hours that we have on the project. We can also vary different calendars for different components of our estimate. So I come in here and make this a 5 9-hour calendar, or I can even go into straight time also, or go double time. So you can get very accurate labor estimate here for your project.